Welcome to MDP Central Tea Talks, where McKoy Dance Project hosts an annual series of community talks and panel discussions to increase conversation and collaboration around issues that we face today. Okay, hello, my name is Derick McKoy Jr., and I'm the founder and executive artistic director of McKoy Dance Project. I go by he, him pronouns, and today you join me for MDP Tea Talks, Choreographers Declassified. MDP Central Tea Talks is an annual series of community talks and panel discussions held to increase conversation and collaboration around issues that we face today. These conversations are open to the public and can surround important topics like mentorship, the state of the arts, race, gender, sexuality, health, and where to find the necessary resources. Tea Talks, through social education and exchange, seeks to bring people together and provide them with the tools for insightful thought and growth. During this episode, I'm delighted to have two special guests with me, Tsai Sahong and Norbert de la Cruz III. Please introduce yourselves, names, where you're originally from, any self-identifiers, and give us a fun fact.
Norbert, you can go ahead first.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tsai. Hi, everyone. My name is Norbert de la Cruz III, and I was originally born in the Philippines, in Bayambong, Nueva Vizcaya, which is the northern region of the Philippines, and moved to Los Angeles, California when I was 2 years old. Grew up in LA, trained in LA. I identify as a dance maker, an artist, a choreographer, a movement director, just a collaborator, all of the things, wanting to do it all. And a fun fact is that I'm deeply afraid of the deep blue sea and floating in deep water, but I am also fiercely in love with interior design and interior decorating. So fears and desires in those spaces.
Okay. Okay. My name is Tai Hong. I'm from Taiwan. Originally, I grew up in Taiwan, and I training in Taiwan, Taipei University of the Arts. And after I graduate, I go to Australia first and working on like a project. And I go to China for a while, and then I come to New York until right now. So I kind of like freelance, just have any project I just do, or I have a like painting work or any kind of like a fun job. I will like just like a big project, like a really really freestyle freelance for now. Yeah, something like that. And I like art, special like artwork, like drawing things, and I like go to gallery, some kind of stuff. Yes. Yep.
Yes, I did learn of that about you recently. Are all of those paintings in the background yours?
That is the bad one. The good one I put somewhere. This is like grocery,
No, those are beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
So we have I kind of structured them in a couple topics to break down today's sort of guide. Today's episode is basically unpacking the choreographic mind and discovering methodologies through conversation. And me as a choreographer, I'm excited to hear what sparks both of your interests and what inspires you to create works. I know my process, all choreographers have a very unique process to themselves, so I'm excited to like dive a little bit in your brains. Our first topic is just personal background and training source in the practice. First question, walk us through the journey of your training as a dancer. Where and who did you learn from?
Should I go first? Okay, so it's not order. Okay. Um, well, my personal background is I started in maybe I was 11 or 12 years old when dance came into my life, and just really wanted to dance because of the influences that pop culture had, TV at the time, and some friends of mine who were in school also danced, and I kind of just followed them to where they went. and then got involved in a school called Everybody Dance, the Gabrielle Foundation in Los Angeles, which really just gave me the preliminary training to be dancing in jazz, hip hop, tap, ballet, modern. And a ballet teacher by the name of Vera Ninkovic took me under her wing and really trained me from scratch and taught me everything I needed to know about classical dance, the form, sort of the methodologies, and like the expectations of what it takes to be a classically trained dancer. And I'm really grateful for her for seeing that potential in me at such a young age, only dancing for only a year or two in. There was a lot of belief and support from the school and from Vera. And through that, I went to a Vaganova-based ballet school in LA, Murat Tokayev School of Ballet. And under scholarship, I went to the LA County High School for the Arts to continue on with my education in high school. And scholarships through summer dance programs, mainly in ballet summer schools, ABT, San Francisco Ballet, Miami City Ballet, and local schools in LA. And then I auditioned for the Juilliard School and was lucky enough to be given a chance to go through the training. So moved to New York at age 18, went through that professional training and learned from a lot of different choreographers and educators, and really just expanded my mind about the potentiality of being an artist and what our body really can serve in this career. And yeah, and I think from that point on, going from Juilliard, the professional landscape started to unfold. And yeah, I think that's and did we get to this is the first question still, right? Not yeah, okay. I think that's basically it in terms of like background and coming and training sourced in practice.
Thank you, Tsai. What about-
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought I'm not good for talk. So I'm training like very regular, like in Taiwan. Like I dance start from when I was very little, like 7 or something. And then we kind of it's different than American, that we have a elementary school in the middle of like kind of high school, but not high school. So I dance from start from 7. So I all in the school until when I graduate university, because our university is 7 years train. Like high school 3 years, 4 years, university, you just dance all day, and the different kind of style. We have a martial arts, Tai Chi, Chinese folk dance, something like that. You have to go through everything. So for my training, it's kind of a lot thing going on, and then yeah, something like that. So after that, I think I just yeah, because before I still wanna be a dancer dream. So I kind of after I graduate, I just goes to Australia like internship with some company, because when I in the 3rd year university, I go to Australia. They have a one exchange student program. So I go there like 1 semester. So I kind of like Australia. There have a like a lot of kind of style. I kind of like it. So I study there. So once I graduate, I go there to kind of like intern for the company. Something like that. Yeah, that's my background.
Nice. It's really interesting the differences you get when you start to talk to different people. Because like for me, I would say actually really young, but I don't tell people I started technically at 14. But I've been dancing my whole life. I've been dancing with my family, and for me, it started very socially, like with my cousins and my family. We would like dance battle and like doing social dances at home. And I was already choreographing from a very young age. Like I was already making like routines for me and my cousins to perform for the families. And I didn't really think of dance as a thing. It was just something that I did. And my parents were always like, "You're always dancing and twirling and running around." So I was always doing that thing. And I think my first dance styles were salsa and merengue actually in elementary school. I think 3rd and 4th grade. I was pretty good at it. I still salsa merengue now, just socially. But I didn't. My mom also belly danced at that time, so I was definitely in the realm of watching dance, and I would be in the back of the room like copying the moves. And she would be like, "Stop doing that," and all the moms would be like, "Look at him, he's dancing." And I think I always had like a love for it. So like I there was a hip hop class and I asked her to join, and my mom was like, "No, you just play sports," because I was playing sports at that time, soccer, baseball, karate. So it didn't start until middle school, like eighth grade, the third year of middle school. My st school started a dance team, and they announced it on the morning announcements. And something about it, I was also love watching Step Up, and saw that, and I was like, I'm gonna do that. And then it kind of like took off from there. That year, I was teaching myself ballet, I was teaching myself hip hop. So I was self-taught my first year of actual training. And I was quickly the captain of the team. I was choreographing the hip hop numbers, and I was happened to also be, in true Derick fashion, I had also happened to be the student council president for my middle school at that time. So I started a talent show, and during the talent show, the dance team performed four different routines, and I performed a solo that I choreographed. And the security guard at the school named Phyllis Lampkin, she saw me and said, "That boy has it." And she invited me to train at her studio for free. And that's where I met my dance mom, who's also the company board president, Lucretia Welters, and she taught me ballet in Horton. And I joined her company within a year. She had a company in Florida, so I joined her company within a year. And then after 3 years of actual training, I moved to New York to join the Ailey Fordham BFA program, and then the story kind of unfolded from there. So yeah, it's like the different backgrounds, but all still um, creating beautiful works is amazing. So I'm going to move us to our second question, but I kind of started for myself. But when did choreography start for you, and when did you decide to dive into making work more regularly?
Thank you for sharing that, Derick. Like you're such a natural artist and leader, so it's amazing that the your community has really recognized your strengths at such an early age, and that's a testament to what you do today. Um, so yeah, this is great that we're having a dialogue or a trialogue or conversation about our own histories as well and coming into this practice. Um, well, I choreographed a lot at church. I think that's where it all really started. That's the first introduction to even movement and it being a social way to communicate for me. And my family loves to go to the church, and so I grew up either choreographing little solos for interpretive dances to the choir or to pre-recorded tracks, or we would take after school lessons from one of our dance teachers who was creating a small production for the Christmas show. And that sort of joy of showing up to a rehearsal process started going into my like how I move and create in school. And I would sign up for the talent shows. I would sign up for the teams that were in my middle school, however little they were. I would create little dances for my brother and his friends that we would perform at the church talent show or for the end of the year performances. But I think my my brother and his friends really wanted to just be a part of this piece because just to impress the girls and to and I was so young back then, and I just like forgot to either pop songs that I really enjoyed, or I would choreograph to praise and worship songs that would serve as the the visual interpretation during the offertory in a service. And and then as through school, it choreographing became more of a necessity out of like coming from a very low income family. I didn't have the resources to pay for a solo or to hire a choreographer or to like I felt that that would be a burden to ask so much from another person, especially with very low income to ask for a new solo. So out of necessity and survival, I choreographed all of my high school entry solos. I choreographed my solo to get into Juilliard. I choreographed my solo after graduating from Juilliard. And so that sort of self-reflective process was probably the initial times of starting to make work, starting with the self and seeing if that self can be in relationship to another person in groups. And I think from that point on, it sort of snowballed into other things. So yeah, yeah, deciding that creating something for myself is a necessity, and the interest that I got from other dancers and other friends and colleagues was sort of an indicator that, yeah, this is something you should do. This is something that is interesting to you. Your passion for it is inspiring others, and yeah, and it is a way for me to survive this dance making process. So yeah.
Wow, that's actually amazing. And I'm glad that I learned that fact about you. I'm actually super interested that you actually started like choreography in the church. It's kind of, I don't think I rarely hear that from people, but also you were exhibiting the qualities of what a successful choreographer needs: resilience, adaptability, critical thinking. Like you were already like, how can I make this work? I have a problem, let me solve it. And you were using dance to do that. So I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, actually, this question, um, I actually it's kind of the same with Norbert. Yeah, I think because I started to dance when I was 7, it's very little. So that time I don't know how to choreography or something. I just want to dance. But I remember we have a class is like something like a creative like work or something. And so I start from when I was little. So until when we in a university, you have to grade choreo your solo, a group piece, and a lot of things you have to do. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, I know this kind of things. So, but that time I just want to be a dancer for some reason that time. So I just dance. I don't choreography, and I don't just do that. And I just dance until when I was 30. I I don't have a passion for be a dancer because I feel tired, and then I feel my body is not it's break. He just not can't do it. Okay. I feel I get old. So so I kind of like, okay, maybe take a break. So I kind of start to maybe I can do choreography something, and yeah, it's kind of like painting work for me. I don't force I have to do that, but you just like cannot very like natural way. Oh, you have a project, okay, you do it, and then I have a couple years still have a kind of mental kind of issue. It's not, it's very unhealthy. So I kind of find a passion, use this field and just release for the create artwork. So I kind of find a balance. So it's very interesting to hear you guys the experience. So my yeah, it's a kind of like my background for choreography. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, choreography provides me avenue to express parts that performing doesn't, and it's a little weird because everybody, well, people who are outside of the industry think that dance is like one thing, and I think something that I've learned on my journey and in my career is that dance is so many different things. Dance is not just being on stage. Dance is the choreography. Dance is the teaching. Dance is the fundraiser for dance. Dance is the executive director for dance. There's so many avenues of working in dance, and they all serve different purposes in ourselves, but also for the betterment of everyone inside of the industry and out for the community. So yeah, like the choreography is very powerful, and I do feel a sense of responsibility when I am stepping into my choreographer hat versus my dancer hat. And I also really relate to my body hurting. I'm
Yeah.
just giggling over here because yes, the body is hurting, and it's I was like after the 25 age and starting to get closer to 30, and I'm like, okay, so my hip, my back, my neck, my arm, how long am I going to keep doing this when I can just, give someone else the image and just do it like halfway, and then they fully embody those ideas. So yeah, I just think it's really funny. But this is a good way to segue into the next topic, into the innovation of movement vocabulary. Um, and this can look like so many different things. And this is really starting to get into the nitty-gritty of our individual processes. But question number one is, in your choreography, do you feel you're pulling from your training directly, or are you creating your own style and movement language slash technique?
Norbert?
Oh,
And I ask this because I'm just thinking about the past eras of dance where, of course, we had Martha Graham, Lamone, but even um, the Trisha Browns, like there's certain movement aesthetics that people are starting to name their own techniques. So do you feel like you're in a way building your own technique, or even like a dear friend of mine, Inu, and she creating focal. So do you feel like you have in your way creating your own style, or you're pulling from different reservoirs of dance that are in your body?
yeah, I think I am definitely drawing in the history of technique in my body, what I've learned. I think that's, I think a way for me to, the way authors cite sources in their book at the end of the novel or end of the research, I think that's lacking in dance, is that we're not citing the people who have made an impact, the relentless effort of that ballet teacher who has carved out the curve of your port de bras. We're not tattooing their names on our bodies, but in reality, they are part of how we move and how we make choices in the moment and how we improvise, and that sort of relentless drilling of surrendering of information from you from a ballet technical side, from a modern teacher telling it, asking you to yield into space. I think that's, of course, like dance is so nostalgic for me, and I carry those experiences with me every time I create. And parts of those techniques bring me joy, and parts of them I just disregard completely, and I don't need to. They don't need to show up in my work. But I think in learning the vocabulary and learning about the possibility of technique and how that supports the body, preventing injury, stabilizing the torso, all those things that are the fundamentals of form and choosing how to break the form is a part of my process. In terms of developing technique, I think I'm in a space where I'm synthesizing all these ideas and all the things that worked for my physicality, my personal experience, my anatomy, and hoping to see if that will resonate with students and dancers that I work with. So the technique that I'm developing is really just like the hybridizing of different information and structuring classes and choreographic processes in a way that may develop meaningful innovation. But I wouldn't say that I'm developing a technique. I think that's incredibly difficult, and it sort of lacks this process of citing a history of people that are actually the origins of that physicality. And I can't take credit for that. And I think the technique is there as a space for citation and memory for people who have carved this muscle memory for me. Um, but yeah, I don't know if I'm answering the question, but I think yeah, it's somewhere in between. I mean, our hopes as choreographers is to create meaningful innovation while at the same time taking along the people who have who we've stood on the shoulders on in order for us to explore and have the privilege of making dances. Well, my long-winded answer, but I think that's really sort of where I stand in terms of innovation, reference, and sort of duty and responsibility as an artist.
For me, it I how do I say? If uh I feel I still very new and I like still learning for your question, that question, a lot of things. I still find an answer. I'm not really have a answer yet. I still like I feel like choreography for me is kind of like do like I feel every time I work with dancers, I feel I'm like make a painting work kind of it's not like it's body move, but you use your painting way to do it. They are the colors, and so you can draw in a different color. For me, it's kind of like visual kind of thing for me. So I still find the answer. So I mean like a style or something. I still looking for something I can do more. I feel maybe I feel this thing is kind of reminds me maybe when you age different and then you experience something in your life. Yeah, I feel this guy will be like I feel it's no answer. I don't know for me. It's no answer because uh yeah, it life always have a boundary or something. So yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's that's yeah, thank you for that. That's also very valuable to um recognize where you are and to feel so new and like me watching your work, even just seeing your work at South Chicago, I was blown away and your voice is already so mature. So for you to say that you feel very new to the process is very interesting. It's just different, it's a matter of perspective. Everything's about a matter of perspective. But yeah, your work is beautiful and you're doing exactly, you're saying something amazing. And I could say the audience around me was just in awe talking to strangers that day. Um, I think for me, I think when I first started choreographing more in the official capacity, when I moved to New York, I had the idea that I was going to be a technique innovator. That was an original goal of mine, and I wanted to blend the styles that I was learning in ballet, Horton, and Graham, and pulling from different things. And I was like, I was going to create a technique. Didn't know if it was going to have a name or anything, but there was definitely going to be some movement language that could um, train the next generation of dancers. And with that, though, the works I was creating were a little old school. They were very old school, drawing from certain movement ideas and methodologies, but it felt like um, uh copy and paste of, let's say, like Alvin Ailey's work where he was blending Horton and Graham and technique, ballet technique and like PK, and then you contract and then you go down to the floor into a Pieta or something. So um that was originally what my choreography was, I think, in terms of concert dance. And it was effective, but it was also very difficult to create real stories. I think back then my works were a lot more performative. And of course, the movement language started to mature and develop into more of this sort of flow. I think now that my works kind of have this like chaos decay movement approach, a sharp initiation and then a slow follow through. And so I think what I'm actually developing in my choreography is a movement approach, an approach to movement that is effective for the way I storytell, or those stories that I create. And so, yeah, I think I'm very curious as to who in this day and age are going to be the movement innovators that are creating techniques that are going to live on past our present explorations. Or just in this realm of contemporary dance, because we're all contemporary choreographers. So, what are we leaving as contemporary choreographers for the next generation to study? It's very interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
No, this is interesting, and I asked myself the same question too, is it necessary to have more techniques? Have we really mastered all the techniques that were sort of left behind for us and that we are craving for new so quickly when I think there's so much to learn about what's already available and maybe augmenting on that set I don't know. It's so challenging to just branch off and create your own new technique because you have to consider all the other factors that what makes the technique visible is because of the support of the knowledge of what a plie is in this world, in this style. And I strongly believe that technique should be a way for us to communicate to the dancer how effectively to access their systems. And if that can be communicated clearly, like how do I get you to sense your body through this motion? How do I encourage you to tap into your innate senses, smell, touch, hearing, sight, all of those things that allows you to be more present in the moment of action. I think we've come to a point where sensory development is maybe the experience of technique with witnessing some of like the Gaga workshops, is that technique of diving into your sensory experience. I think that's maybe one umbrella that we can branch off and reroot and create another seed of that same tree, to then maybe plant it into another way to access the system through sensory experience. Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen's moving mind body sort of research also explores this idea of sensory experience, even though there's not a set curriculum or syllabus of like, these are the exercises, pre-existing exercises beginning to end. I don't know if I've seen that yet. So I don't know. I'm wondering the same thing too. Unless we like go into AI generated bodies and like we are now manufacturing the technique of how robotics work in relationship to our own body, then maybe that's maybe the next realm. But unless a new sensory experience comes to us, maybe there's more talk for like revamping the techniques a little bit more. Anyway, I digress.
I think, yeah, I think, at least in my brain, it might be harder for us to see it because we are in the contemporary era, but it was like you have the classical era, you have the modern era, you have the postmodern era, which is kind of breezed over, and then the contemporary era. And so with those, the previous eras, we have clear reference points of study, of technique. And right now, I guess maybe because we're in the contemporary era, we can't necessarily determine what those things are yet until the next thing comes, until the AI technique comes. We'll look back, we'll look back in the contemporary era, and then we can say we'll be able to name all of those techniques. But it's very interesting as we are currently the leaders of the field, this contemporary era, we're making work, we're leading what today's artworks look like. What's going to be left behind when we're gone. It's very difficult to pinpoint that. And I know that's really important to us because we're creating our own legacies. We're trying to leave the world better than we found it. We're trying to touch people. And to do that, we have to give them something long lasting and impactful. And then we kind of like already went into the second question, which without me realizing, which is perfect, but I just want to reiterate, like, how important is it for today's choreography to innovate around the vocabularies we use in movement storytelling?
And movements storytelling.
Like, is it important for us to be accessing
Yeah.
these techniques that we use? And then this is kind of going into like, you know, way off performance art where I've seen things where people just put tape on their face and that's been the show. So how important is it in the choreography today, do you feel?
Well, I do believe that it's very important that the dancers and the dance makers are intentional about sharing and describing what the world looks like today. And that comes in a variety of ways to express that sort of image of what the world is to their eyes. And there's so many stories shared right now, and that sense of variety and diversity in experiences is making dancing more relevant. I I think dance is really great at conveying the emotional capacity of what is happening to tell the story of someone's interiority. I think with dance, with theater, there's certain things that you can express in theater that you cannot in dance because of the script. And so trying to convey the story solely with just the body and not some voiceover narrating every single motion that you are doing, unless of course you are intentionally doing it to be inclusive of someone who is not visibly able to see the dance and they need to hear the dance, then maybe that's one option of like, I don't know, like creating dances that show what the world is looking like. Um, I don't know if I'm really answering this, but like I think I don't know. I think in shorthand that I think the dances need to show what the world looks like. And if that involves technique, abstraction, durational work, the pace of the speed of how your dance is delivered, that all comes into a poetic interpretation of this is the world that is reflecting slowness of this time of the year, or this is a work that reflects the rapid, fast-paced culture of this world that this choreographer is living in. So it really is just the way we look at it, and technique serve to like accommodate those choices of speed, duration, effort.
Mhm. Technique as a tool. But the most important thing for a choreographer is intention, intention, intention. And that I think is one of my biggest lessons I've learned within the last 4 years of my journey is intention, 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 intention in the storytelling. And not just, that's why I said like my works used to be more performative. I wanted like, the dramatic lighting, the dancers super technical and flying through space. And I still have essence of that in my work, but the intention behind it, it's more important for me to not just make work, but also watch work that has intention. It's saying something real. Like I'll go to shows and people be like, that was amazing. And I was like, I was bored. And yeah, it was great. The dancers were beautiful and the lighting was fantastic, but I didn't feel it here because it was just beautiful and performative. What I want is intention and storytelling, something that's relatable to society. So yeah, I think you answered the question eloquently and perfectly. Starting from intention, it doesn't necessarily depend on the techniques, but if your intention is to show, I don't know, the stickiness of society and you want to put tape on your face to represent that, then by all means, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do as a movement director, a creative artist. Um, yeah.
Very interesting. I'm very agree, you guys. Yeah, I learned a lot today. Um, for me, I feel like everything, like every performing, for me, if I feel touch, it's all like everything. For example, if I go to like a small gallery, like in the Chelsea, they have a lot of free gallery. Sometimes you go there, you see some work, and then you some is like nothing, just one paper there, nothing, just there. But somehow when you feel, I don't know, I feel every day you have a different kind of emotion, or kind of a feel. If you that day you feel good, maybe you watch that paper, you say, oh, that's beautiful. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like um I don't know how to say, I don't know I answer this question on that, but I feel like everything touch you, it's all good thing. Even you don't touch, I just, and I yeah, I don't feel anything. It's still okay. It's still like, yeah, I don't, yeah, something like that. I don't know I answer on that.
No, that's good because I guess it does depend. Like the relationship between the viewer and the artwork is actually really important. And whether you like it is a good thing, and whether you don't like it is a good thing. As long as you're interacting with the artwork, it is doing its job. And you're right, our moods do change. And I may see a piece one day and I'm in a bad mood and I'm like, oh, that was terrible. And then the next time I see it, I'm like, oh, that actually was very profound and reminded me of blah, blah, blah. So it does
Yeah,
depend.
Yeah, it's like a movie. What I remember reminds me the movie The Shining. My favorite movie. The beginning I watched The Shining is long, long, long. I don't know what's going on. The first time. And then second time I go watch, it's I feel something. I don't know, it's I get old or I feel like more, sometimes you're feeling I don't know, I can't tell. It's just like some movie or some performing, you see first time and second time, third, fourth, five, it's different. I feel that is from maybe you kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say right or not. It's just like watch things. Sometimes you have to maybe just follow your heart. Like it doesn't matter like sometimes you give you like yourself too much pressure, maybe it just there. Something like that.
And that also brings up a memory for me, and it's one of my first works on the company. We created a feature-length docu-dance film. It's about an hour long, and there was a solo that I choreographed. And our former associate artistic director told me that she was like, I don't really like that section. It's like it's not moving me. Um, and I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, the choreography is good, but it wasn't speaking to her. And couple years later, she watched it again and she was like, that was amazing. That was that was exactly what I needed to see. And she said it's kind of funny that back then I wasn't ready to receive the message of what the solo was trying to tell me. And but now I'm older and now I've had more life experience and now I'm able to actually understand about the struggle that this character is going through because she had directly experienced it and was ready to allow herself to take off the blinders that of her experience. The solo was her experience, but she wasn't ready to uh be sensitive and vulnerable to it. She was still having up her walls. So it's very interesting about as we grow as people, artwork touches us in different ways and it can do really amazing things. So as we talk about creating legacies and leaving something behind, it may not be the the most profound thing now, but in the future, the future generations may need it. And we can see that all the time with music and certain composers, their music was not popular and their music was radical back then. But then we come to today's time and everyone's playing Tchaikovsky. So and Stravinsky, like if everyone's playing this music, they're like, this is crazy. What are we listening to? It's terrible. So yeah, thank you for that. I'm going to move us into the next section. I think this is the perfect section. But experiments and explorations, collaboration through mediums. What other mediums of art do you bring into your choreographic process? And do you think these collaborations have brought anything that's inaccessible to dance on its own?
What other mediums of art?
Painting, theater, graphic design.
Yeah, I think we have to wear all the hats now. Like it's just not about the dance making, it's about like what level of research and additional supplemental creative tactile support even do you bring into a space of catching inspiration. I mean, books is first and foremost like one of the best ways to do your research, to gain inspiration, and to really practice empathy is like by diving into someone's language, fit literal language, and reading it from cover to cover. It's like you're dedicating yourself to be an understanding audience member to a story, and that parts of that story resonates with you, and then you take on some of those identities, and then that becomes sort of your story as well. Someone just sort of wrote it really well, and that you were also inspired by that. I also have also included tarot card readings in some of my more creative development processes. I think as a way to start conversation about things about the unknown, questions that we have that are beyond yes or no answers, but like the how do I navigate the energy of this? And then looking at a celestial pathway to discuss or start even an action. I like to look at TV and film, and observe some of the relationship tropes that happen in movies, and how cliche they can be, and when are they actual archetypes, when are they tropes, and then and what ways can dance translate some of these relationships, and when is it limited because of just the what film and TV can do. Sometimes, most times, dance cannot. Um, and Yeah, I've been trying to incorporate a little bit more theatrical elements to that. I don't have any formal like acting experience, so I think it's more about the delivery and timing of action rather than the expression of an emotion through facial expressions. So yeah, in simplicity, that's basically it that I'm working with right now. I wish I could paint and design clothing and
You can, you can.
but I think Tsai, you can also oh, beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think yeah. Yeah, I learned from you a lot. I know Norbert like a long, long, long time ago. He's kind of my idol. I don't know how he can work so many pieces. Oh my goodness. For me, I feel I gotta retire already. Yeah, that's true. I remember. Oh, that's fine. I remember one time we in Paris dance. I said, "Oh, it's Norbert." Woo.
Oh,
Something like that.
oh, thank you.
Yeah. 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 I think the beginning I start from my own work. Like I bring the painting more kind of for the process because I feel painting a stroke, special stroke. You can see my movement is a lot, I don't know, just yeah, like very strong, something that I still learn for like I like to play with the speed for some reason, speed, like the timing things. And I think because maybe I love like what's that called? Like a martial arts movie or something like that, like Great Master from the director Wong Kar-wai, or I love watching movies, so I think movie also very help me. And for this couple, I think special for this year, I start because before I can't reading because the word I don't know, I just don't touch from the book, but I start push myself. I start to study like poetry. My one like a favorite poetry, the Baudelaire, like a French, the writer, a lot of beautiful poetry, and then I kind of start from that. That bring to my piece, kind of like the feel, something like that. Yep.
Okay. It's I'm trying to source my own practice. Like what do I use? Definitely music. And I've been lately using text, I think, as well. It's like quotes that sort of inspire me. And I think just where I source inspiration in general, it's always in a random moment. I never know. It could be a dream, it could be a movie, or it could be a line in a movie that really touched me. And um, I actually one a piece that I'm premiering this season in October is actually from a quote from a movie, and it says, "Is it better to speak or die?" Um, and that was they were just basically talking about love. It's like, is it better to speak up to this person that you love and confess your love to them, or just hold it in and die? And so I'm creating a work called Sketched about that. This love duet about speaking up and confessing your true love feelings for someone. So yeah, you never know. Inspiration can come from a lot of things. And Sai, I've actually been following your work for a minute, and I know you made your work at Ballet X and you used your paintings. And that sort of sparked something in me. And the costumes for Sketched are actually, we talked about creating these brush strokes of calligraphy on the costumes just to create this love story that's actually like written. It's written in the stars. So yeah, I think as now I'm starting to explore more and what else can enhance choreography. I've never used necessarily images behind a work of mine, but trying to see what's available and what speaks to me in a moment for a particular piece. So I know my explorations with those are very new. I'm excited to dive deeper into figuring out more innovative ways to create a interdisciplinary approach to my work. Are there any collaborations you hope to have or experiment with in the future? You can just like list them and like anything you would like always wanted to try to bring into your work in terms of other artistic mediums.
Hmm. Well, I'm looking for a collaborator and a musical collaborator. Like I'm actually looking for that person more than I am looking for an intimate partner. Like that musical collaborator is going to be everything. That is going to be more important than a partner and a lover for me. And
Mm.
I think if I can find that person and then they can support sort of the movement language and I am like obsessed with what they do, I think that is like a beautiful sort of chance that I'm actively searching for and hoping that that we would find one another. Um, but in more realistic terms, I'm in a space of collaborating with the university and trying to explore my potential in academia as an artist scholar. I think that is a space of like how does research and active research then support the commissions and the art making process, and is there a space for scholarly thinking and writing in the space that I've been operating in, which is freelance right now, in creating work very quickly. So and honestly, I do want to fulfill my dreams of when I was younger of choreographing for TV, film, movies, music video. Like, give me that Gap commercial for the holidays. Give me a music video from some pop star. I will move and direct that. Like, my life depends on it. Like, I think that is something I'm most interested in is like the commercial aspect, since that's a very rare thing I haven't really tapped into. Um, in terms of things that are already like ready, I mean, things I want to put on stage for me is like new music, finding new collaborators, um, maybe even a set designer to make me think outside the box of what's available on a traditional proscenium. Like set designers who are able to have leverage to change the architecture and can sort of create purpose and reason of why the traditional theater should change or should be a little bit more modular to support these wild ideas that are outside the box. Yeah, I think that's basically it. That's already a lot of dreams to kind of pursue in a realistic amount of time.
Sounds like we need to create a platonic dating app for dance makers and composers to get these relationships going. Because I think that's also really important for me too. And I've had the blessings and for the fortitude to being fortunate enough to create work with original compositions, and I've so far two composers like creating original works for on my pieces. So just like creating that very strong relationship and a communication between the two, like almost being in sync. I'm really craving that to just have a lot of it's not like I want to say like brainstorm. What do you call it? A brain dump? Kind of like a brain dump of works, just because there's the music is just as inspiring as my work wants to be. And I it takes me forever to find music. It takes me so long, it takes me years. And so I'll have a list of 12 pieces that I want to make, but I can't launch them or present them to the public until I have the perfect song. So I have to hear it and it has to captivate me like this. Otherwise, I won't use it. So yeah, I definitely am craving that relationship too. So I definitely there. So that's
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, because very yeah, you guys said it right. I feel music very important for like you choreo something. I think the music is like I don't know, it's very hard. Like yeah, it's very important things. I feel it's more important than you do. You know what I mean? The music, yeah, like I'm very lucky. I meet a lot of composer, and then they're very like open. We kind of work kind of very good, but I still like hope I can like learn more, like a more kind of different type of music for my piece. Something like that. I think you guys already answered that question. I think, yeah, for me, that's it.
Yeah, thank you. We're running out of time, but I'm going to rush us forward to this last section because I think this is going to be the most impactful part, just to really tie everything together. But discoveries and lessons learned. What are some important lessons you learned along this journey of being a choreographer? And then you could just answer the next question, what's next for you and your work?
Oh man, that's hard because there's so many lessons. Like every life is
Mm.
a whole string of lessons that you're learning, and they come towards you in different periods of your life. But maybe one thing that I am learning now is that my responsibility is to never pass down my own suffering in a space, but rather to pass down wisdom. And that like inevitably each of us find sort of these roadblocks, these walls that prevent us from doing what we wanted to do, and we find another version of that. And sometimes that information of like the suffering may not be as important as the wisdom that you learn from it. Um, and then trusting that everyone in the space is incredibly smart and incredibly intelligent and incredibly passionate about being in this room with you, and that to trust that each dancer will is a part of the conversation as well, and that it doesn't always have to come from you. It's just, again, how do you facilitate a social experience for the dancers around you in order to start creating your very own ecosystem where everyone operates and serves one another in a way that is of service to this piece that we're making sure that we're all on the same page with themes and sort of the end goal of this process. Um, yeah, I think that's what I've been learning a lot. And that also dance is just inevitably part of your DNA. It's like if you like part of your history, part of like your memories. So just knowing that you're creating from something you've already experienced and it's coming out and it's being solidified and concrete through the actions of what you make for other artists. And the second question of what's next for me, was that the next question? um, well, I'm actually in the process of joining a full-time faculty position at a prestigious university, which I can't say yet. So I'm taking on my first year as full-time faculty member as a visiting assistant professor in dance, which I think is is in a very appropriate place for me right now. I need to start using that part of the brain and taking on the duty of transference of knowledge, really practicing what I preach through many students, while meanwhile still navigating a freelance career or a independent choreographer schedule, as taking on commissions and navigating that professional space with professional dancers. And like always trying to find new creative opportunities by applying oneself through professional development programs, residency programs through universities, engaging in small collaborations in and around New York City, and working with dancers who have either left the system of being a part of a dance company and like finding freedom in their own projects. I'm interested in those dancers as well, like how they emerge from being part of those institutions and how they find themselves through independence. Yeah, and I'm interested in continuing my relationship with the contemporary ballet community and just seeing if there's space for me to live in that culture and how far can I go in terms of in making ballets for companies? So I'm curious the longevity of that path. But I think education is really important to me. So that's where I'm really diving towards next.
Yeah, yeah, for the question one, the important lesson for me be a choreographer, I feel, yeah, same thing with Norbert. It's a lot of, I think, I don't know how to answer this because it's a lot thing you gotta learn. Even it's not dance, not choreographer, it's like normal life, like how you balance yourself and then how you become like open mind, how you like ready. Sometimes your body not listen to you. You're ready, but your body not ready. So it's a lot of thing going on for I mean like I learned a lot and I feel I'm very lucky for a lot of people help me a lot. I really appreciate. And for the second question, like the what's the next? I don't know. I just freestyle go go to the my next project. Still like a freelance, like something come and I do. I don't, yeah, I give myself couple years to just freestyle. And after that, I think I will with Norbert same thing for the education kind of um role to that. Yeah, something like that. Thank you.
I think that's good. I think for me, I see that for myself as well. And of course, I have a company, so it's a little different. I'm attached to this body, but I do see the same thing. Like I still count myself as a freelance choreographer, and so to once I fully get off the stage, which I feel is happening soon. Don't know exactly when, but I know I'm starting to cross over that hump of being ready. But to dive more into choreography full time, and then eventually education, and of course building my organization. But in terms of lessons, I think two important bits that I really learned is to don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal with people's requests. Don't take it personal with people's feelings. A lot of those things are what they're dealing with on the inside. Of course, be aware of how you are portraying and projecting yourself to to others, but don't take it personal. And to be in the practice, the consistent practice of reading the room. Especially as we are leaders of this space, we need to read the room, and I wasn't so good at that in the beginning. I would just be like, go, 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 push, push, push. Or I would create sort of like exercises that were maybe felt harmful to the dancers that were in this space. And I'm not talking about dance exercises like where we were writing letters to themselves about insecurities or things like that. And sometimes that can be a little danger area if you're doing it without the proper preparations and I don't want to say like warnings and cautionary uh, information given to the artists that are in this space. And so always being in the practice of reading the room, knowing the group that you're working with, learning them, and also adapting your practice to be able to create the most effective and productive process for them to create beauty. Because that's the goal, is create beauty, whether it's, an ugly word can be beauty as well. Um, and what's next for me? I'm still dancing, so I'm gonna dance. And of course, uh, in McKoy Dance Project, we have our upcoming show October 12th and 13th. I will be premiering two new works. There will also be a company premiere, and it's a festival format, so five other choreographers will be joining us to present work in New York City. So I'm excited for that. I actually leave tomorrow to New York and we'll be there for 3 weeks. Um, Dallas Black season starts in a couple weeks, so that happens. Boom, bang, bang, battery dance, and I am possibly pursuing to get my MFA or PhD um, soon. So a lot is happening for me as well. And now the time has come for the last bit of today. I end these podcasts with something fun. Um, uh, this something fun is called most likely to. So I'm going to list some things in order. And as I list them, if you feel like you're most likely to do this thing, you're going to raise your hand.
Fun.
Okay.
Okay.
Most likely to snooze your morning alarm. Nah. Most likely to have your phone on Do Not Disturb all day.
Mm, Oh, I can't imagine. I'd lose so many important points.
Yeah.
Most likely to eat an extra dessert when you shouldn't.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I'm not a dessert person, but when I have them, I do have them in excess. Most likely to lose important items like keys, wallets, phones.
Oh no.
That's good.
Yeah.
Most
Check.
likely to jump on a vacation to an unknown location.
Hmm.
I
For you, it's
love that though. I'm like, I don't know if I could do it. I have to be, I have to look at it a little bit. Most likely to be the biggest homebody.
oh yes.
Yeah,
I can stay
I
at
love
home all day.
Um, most likely to get frustrated if you lose a competition.
Hmm. Dep yeah, because
Competitive spirits.
yes, 'cause, that's just a reflection of all the hard work, and it's you always want to have good results.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
used to be like that, and then I got tired of losing because I used to get so upset. So I was like, I don't care anymore. I'm gonna give minimal effort. If I win, I win. If I don't, I don't.
Good.
Most likely to take on a new hobby, skill, or project before finishing a previous one.
Hmm.
I'm notorious for doing that. I do 15 million things at one time. Um, and last one, most likely to belt a personal concert in the shower.
Oh yes, yes.
I'm
Hard.
always singing. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, that is the perfect place to put a bow on this. I want to thank you both for joining me for this lovely conversation. I really enjoyed getting to meet you guys in a new way and more in depth, and letting me pick through your brilliant minds and your personal practices. For our viewers and listeners, we hope to see you soon, and bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Derek.
Thank you.
McKoy Dance Project, MDP, is an electrifying nonprofit contemporary dance organization that provides safe and equitable platforms for everyone, especially marginalized bodies, to share and to grow in common experience. If you'd like to learn more about MDP, how to take a class with us, or see us perform, check us out on Instagram or Facebook at McKoy Dance Project.